Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So the video that I was going to make before I got hospitalized and had an emergency surgery was this, the War on Cheaters update, September 2023. And there are some things that are definitely worth pointing out and, well, celebrating for, unless you are one of the people affected. So, let's talk about it a little bit. Let's break down the post a bit by bit. I'm not going to read it word for word, but let's go through it. So, Season 10 of Battlegrounds was busy for the anti-cheat team as we monitored leaderboard to ensure the integrity of Battleground Brawl qualifiers over the course of the season. We developed a method to identify new cheating strategy as well as improved our detection for win trading. Both ended up paying off and impacted the final qualifiers for the Brawl. Congratulations to those who qualified fairly. We look forward to hosting you in Vancouver. Yes, absolutely. Awesome to see these methods improved. I think as important it is for Kabam to catch more of the people who cheat, it is just as important to improve the times, how long it takes for Kabam to catch them, because let's not forget that if a player cheats, and gets to the top end of the Gladiator circuit, presumably they cheated on their way there, which typically would mean, dozens, if not hundreds of people affected who effectively lost their Elder's Marks or energy and just got shafted out of their time. So it is not, a victimless crime in a sense, because every time a cheater wins, somebody loses unfairly. Therefore, if it takes for them to catch these guys in 2 days, they can, do it to hundreds and hundreds of people and create an extremely unsavory and unpleasant Battlegrounds experience for people. So I think it is, again, just as important to improve the timing, the speed Kabam clamps down on them, as it is to, catch as many of them as possible. If anything, that, in my opinion, could be some sort of, investigatory block, where if something is off and if Kabam isn't sure and needs a longer investigation, Kabam could, just prevent a person from playing Battlegrounds for like a day. Or half a day until they investigate, or something of the sort. But they definitely have been doing better with Battlegrounds cheaters, and that is what I want to point out 100%. The last 2 seasons, I think I have matched 3 people that I knew for sure modded. About 3 or 4. There are, a handful that I thought, maybe not, but, obvious cheaters, it's been significantly less, at least from my experience. Okay, we believe our anti-cheat methods are in a pretty good spot. There is still work to be done, and we meet regularly to improve our detection algorithms, but we have active programs in place across the game, regularly banning modders and Battlegrounds, arenas, incursions, and solo content. That's good. That's good to hear that they are working on it, and, this is one of those situations where if, let's say, half a year ago, or I said I'll believe when I see it, then now I can confidently say that I have seen improvements. Again, it's not perfect, it's not ideal, it probably never will be, but as long as there is progress and work that's getting done, I absolutely do not mind giving Kabam credit, and a lot of it, because there are a lot of people cheating, because they are consistently figuring out new ways how to get around things, and so on and so forth. It definitely does take work, but it is something that has to be done, and, well, again, we all have our grievances and issues with Kabam as a company, but in this front, I think they have done one of the best kind of like improvements in a relatively briefish amount of time. Communication could have been better along the way in a sense, but still, I'm happy that we do get these posts. They are coming as and when they are, and it's still better communication that we're getting about many other issues like, inputs or bug fixing, state and speeds and stuff like that. So overall, these anti-cheat methods and people working on it, I think are, let's give them definitely a well-earned, above average passing grade. So with that progress made, we have had a chance to dive into shelling, which is something that I love to hear. Problem in Alliance War. So for those unfamiliar with the concept, some alliances have been using an exploit to modify the matchmaking parameters to their favor. This off-season, we carefully monitored the movement of players, and 3 alliances near top of the leaderboard were clearly engaging in anti-competitive behavior. Today, the officers of those alliances were issued temporary bans, and when they return, they will find their shell alliances at the very bottom of AW rankings. Probably should have been both, but both alliances, not just shell. If they want to compete for the top rewards in AW, they will have to do so from their primary alliances. Given this is the first time we take action against this exploit, we were slightly more lenient. I understand that as well. I don't have issue with it. I think it works like, consider this as a warning shot of sorts, exactly. In the future, any alliance that we catch shelling will receive harsher penalties up to and including permanent bans for all members of guilty alliances. Absolutely love to hear this. 1,000,000%. I do think that much of shelling issue also goes to alliance point, Battlegrounds point farming, because it's effectively individual, shelling. You are engaging in anti-competitive behavior, playing below your actual ability in order to exploit and gain the most points possible with the currency, which is enabled due to the existence of Elder's Mark. There will be people who says like, oh, but you're win trading and you're giving people away free wins and there's no harm, no foul. But from an average point of view, if you are matching against somebody who is, tanking and point farming, then you either get stomped on because they are significantly stronger than where they should be. So that's not a fun time. Or you get a free win without even like trying or doing anything. And that's not, a fun time or playing the game as it's intended. Yeah, you get the win, but you don't get the practice. You don't get the experience. You don't get, the Battlegrounds competitive aspect for it. And it still messes up with overall, stats and matchmaking and everything else. And that stuff also impacts, the way Battlegrounds are organized and whatever Kabam future decisions they're going to make in regards to Battlegrounds. So there's at least 3 and definitely more good points why, point farming should be dealt with pretty much exactly as shelling as far as I'm concerned. But I do understand that community opinion there is divided. But I would love to see Kabam do something more on it as well. Additionally, we have had time to take a closer look at mercenaries in Battlegrounds. A number of accounts have received escalating bans for being played by someone other than the owner. Those that were not banned permanently will be banned from Battlegrounds game mode for 3 seasons. This is a new type of punishment that I really dig. I do, again, believe and have to believe in stuff like redemption. Because I myself have had a relatively colorful past with MCOC, but for many, many years now I have, stayed away from trouble and not done anything unbecoming. But this is something that I think I support completely. If you do get caught, and if it's not like a complete permanent ban, but some sort of like a week ban plus ban from Battlegrounds for 3 seasons, that's, a lot of rewards. That's a lot of meaningful resources that you get shut out from. And I think rightfully so, because for God knows how long, potentially, you have been getting better rewards or more rewards from that game mode than you otherwise could. I do hope, again, this to be extended to Alliance War, because Kabam mentioned 3 alliances in Masters that shell, which is fair enough, but I can promise you, over half, majority of Masters alliances do have accounts piloted by the players. That's just a fact. There are like 6 clean alliances up top who do not pilot or have nothing to do with piloting effectively. And then there's, 10 plus that have accounts piloted by more skilled members or by mercenaries and so on and so forth. So that is like an open question that I would love to hear Kabam talk about or discuss or mention, because again, I know that they know it has been going on for a very, very, very long time, especially considering that Kabam has started to hire CCP members who have had, definite, guaranteed knowledge of it. Not saying they did it, obviously. I'm just saying that you cannot be in competitive alliance and not know these things. At least to a degree. You might not know every single player who gets piloted or anything like that, but 100% which alliances, are heavily piloted, which ones are not, and, which ones do their utmost best to make sure that nobody pilots in them. There are, clear kind of like differences of that. You know, from top of my head, as far as I know, Salty is a very skilled group that has nothing to do with piloting. You know, obviously New Nation doesn't pilot, LVT for Loki. I think DSVG. I'm probably missing out like another couple that I know. I'm not saying that I didn't mention an alliance. It means that they pilot. Absolutely not. I'm just saying I know that those alliances do their best to make sure no accounts within their teams get piloted. And then again, a whole bunch of them either pilot accounts, you know, within their own alliances, or how pilots playing who pilot other teams, players, and stuff like that. So it's a very big thing. So I think if Kabam's looking at it in Battlegrounds, it's just as big of an issue, if not even bigger, in Alliance War, which is also a competitive game mode. So I think it's kind of disingenuous to look into and talk about one of those things and not the other. So that's like one thing that I would absolutely love for Kabam to, you know, discuss in the next post, and hopefully someone, well, I know that some people from Kabam watch my videos, and hopefully we do get some mention of Alliance War piloting as well in the near future. Finally, there is already a post up about players exploiting the enlistment gifting event, but we wanted to note this is still on our radar. There will be action taken before end of the event. The most extreme exploiters will receive bans, and we will be taking additional action against some accounts. And this one is a bit weird one, because again, you made the event with whatever. It's kind of like you call the most extreme exploiters, but you know, there's a whole bunch of people who had these alt accounts for like gifting event, and Kabam knew about it and allowed it, and like, you know, kept it in game for ages. And if people did it, I don't have an issue with it. I think this is kind of Kabam's fault. You know, if somebody had these accounts made and you just gift a ton of these crystals to your main account, I think it's fair game. Kabam should have made sure that, you know, you don't just randomly get Brazilian crystals for like just logging in and for you know, baby-faced accounts. So yeah, with this one, I'm not entirely sure how, you know, correct it is to do anything to these players, because it's just Kabam's fault. Especially again with precedent that Kabam set with gifting event, perfectly knowing and allowing players to open like, you know, 10 alt. I know somebody, for instance, who had 10 alt accounts who consistently logged in for like a really long time in those 10 alt accounts to collect the units and stuff from it, do the bare minimum, and then at the end of the year gifting event like had a massive cash out, and Kabam knew about it and Kabam permitted it. And now in events like this, when they designed their event poorly, they want to do something about it. I don't think that's quite right. But ultimately, the biggest takeaway here is that, yeah, I agree that Battlegrounds has gotten better cheating-wise 1,000,000%, which is, again, kudos and credit to Kabam. Kabam is finally doing something about shelling. That's awesome. And mercing the Battlegrounds. And again, here, the biggest thing, two things that we need to talk is point farming and Alliance War piloting. And if we do address those two issues to a meaningful degree, then I think MCOC overall is going to be such a huge way forward to being, you know, more, you know, up and straight game without the shadow stuff happening that much in it. Again, quite cool to see that ban from Battlegrounds for 3 seasons. I think that's quite cool again, because I do believe again in, you know, second chances and, you know, learning your lesson type of thing. Let me know what you guys think. Overall, yeah, I think it's positive. I think there's a few things missing, but yeah, good job. And finally knocking down on the shelling stuff as well. So that's awesome. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys have to say, and I'm gonna catch you guys later. Bye-bye. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about